Let's take a look at the Adobe Illustrator pen tool. This is probably one of the most widely used and most important tools in Illustrator. The pen tool is really what Illustrator is all about. So you can find it over here. And something while you're looking at tools and trying to grab a tool to notice is any tool that has this little caret at the bottom right corner. That means there are more tools available. So if you hold that down, you'll see all these other tools. And you'll notice there's this little tab at the end. This is a tear off tab. So I can let go right there, and the pen tool breaks off into its own palette. It's something that's kind of nice to be able to use the tear off palettes, so you can quickly access tools if you're using them a lot. So the pen tool uses what's called a Bezier curve, and essentially what a Bezier curve is a curve described mathematically by 4 points. So point 1 is your start of your line. So we're going to start point. I'm going to drag up. Point 2 is this handle right here. Now I'm going to click and drag down. Point 3 is this handle here, and point 4 is this handle. So if I click on my curve, this is a single Bezier curve. You'll notice I'm using different tools. I'm going to use my direct select tool. That allows me to click on an anchor point. And so this curve is actually described by a single starting point, a point in space on the handle that you can move around, and an end point of the line, and then the point of this handle. So every time you're using the pen tool, you're clicking. If I click and drag, it drags out a handle. I can click and drag again in the opposite direction, and you can see what happens. If I come over here, click and drag up again, you can see that I can very quickly make so this is 2 Bezier curves described by 3 points and the handles associated with those points. So what can you do with the pen tool? You can create pretty much any shape you want to. If I wanted to draw a tree, I'm simply clicking and dragging up, clicking once, click and drag, click once, click and drag, click once, click and drag, click once. Okay, so I created a sort of an outline of a tree. When you're using the pen tool, you can use the direct select tool to come back in and modify any of these points at any time. So notice I click off. I'm just clicking in the white space around my object, and everything is deselected. Click on. I can click directly on the anchor and move it right away. You notice on my screen right now that you're seeing this little text that says path anchor, and that's because I have the smart guides turned on. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off for now. View smart guides, uncheck it. So now that I've done that, you'll notice that I no longer get the names. I no longer get this connection. But I can quickly drag that. If I select on any line at one time, I can modify that curve. And then of course you can grab the handles directly. You can click and drag like this with the marquee selection to select multiple points at any time. So that's creating a path with the pen tool. Now under that tool you also have the plus and minus. Now these are add and remove points, add anchor point, delete anchor point, and convert anchor point. Okay, so we'll go through those. Add anchor point does exactly what it says. I can go on to any line and add an anchor point right there. It does not change the curve, it simply adds a point in the center of it that I can now manipulate. Remove point does exactly what you think it would do. I can click right here and delete this point entirely. Delete this point entirely without changing or without breaking my line. It's still a single shape. The convert tool point, or the convert anchor point tool, allows you to take what might be a point, or what might be a single a point without anchors, and change it to a point that does have anchors. So you'll notice when I clicked here, if I use my direct select tool on this, there are no handles associated with this node. If I click this one, I see handles on both sides. If I click this one, I don't see any handles. So the Convert Anchor Point tool will add handles to points that don't have handles, and it will take away handles to points that do. Okay? So play around with the pen tool and see what you can create.